Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to StarRupture. Today, we're gonna be having the lesson number 3. It's about optimization, and optimization, it is not what you think. Optimization in general is for your total factory and how you play this game. And well, to get started, one thing that is very underrated in this game is buffering. What is buffering? Buffering is when you have storage systems that can actually store surplus materials, so whenever a system needs it, it sends it to them. Well, how you use them? Look, if you have watched other lessons, I usually have my base material productions in another location, and then they send the base materials like bars or calcium blocks to the factories that I have. But at the beginning of every factory, I usually use these buffers, and at the end of every factory, I also use the buffers. Why is it? Because at some point, something can happen. Maybe resources do not reach enough. Maybe I overheat, blah blah, whatever. This system will not stop working until this buffer is empty. When it is empty, probably the problem will be solved, and that location is already feeding this system. Because of the call system in the game, if you don't have a buffer, this machine will have to wait for that. You see that smelter there? This machine has to wait for those smelter to say, oh yes, so this guy doesn't have any bars, I should send him bars. Sends bars, takes like 15 seconds to get here. This machine is not working until then. And this is just a beginning. It scales up, it escalates, and at some point you find like your end buildings not working properly, only because it's not buffered well. So at the beginning of your factories and at the end of your factories, every factory has to have a beginning and an end. That's another optimization thing. I'll show you what's happening there and why there is something like that as well there. But before that, we're going forward from this, let's say, turbine factory, because I want to show you many things. Second one is lane traffic. What is lane traffic? Lane traffic exactly is this. So in StarRupture, lanes have a capacity of 120, 240, and 480 materials per minute. Which is a lie! Yes, that's a lie. These lines do not carry 480 materials or 120 or 240. Because, you know why? Look here. Do you see that? Do you see that stoppage? Like they stop here before moving? That is an animation glitch. Every time you put one of these, yeah, see, they slow down. Yeah, even the ones that are passing through slow down a little bit on these lanes. It might not look like much, but that decreases the capacity of the lanes to like something like 460, 450. So try to never max out on the lane traffic. One of the main reasons my bases do not get clogged or ever stop working is because I calculate my lane capacity. So whenever I'm like building a cluster of let's say factories like this, I say, okay, this is gonna need 30, this is gonna need 30, 60, 30, and so on and so forth. Okay, how many materials does it make that? Oh, it makes it like 380 materials will have to go to these factories per minute. So one lane tree is enough to carry all of that. So good. But let's assume I have like 5 more fabricators in the same lane here, like here and here. Then I will need 520 materials to be carried here, and I only have 1 lane. So what's gonna happen? A train of never moving or slowly moving obstacles or objects or materials like this will appear, which is a sad thing to see. So overdoing and overproducing from a single lane is another big problem that can happen to you. Sadly, I have to wait for the end of this awful rupture until I continue. So give me a moment, let me finish this rupture. So let's go back. In conclusion of what I was saying, let me make it short. Making the biggest factory is the last thing you want. You want full-time working factories. That is what an efficient factory is. A factory that works 24/7 without a stoppage or a stopping. See, this one building not working. The reason is actually not because it doesn't have materials. The reason is because it has been too efficient. Yes, see? It has provided titanium housing so much so efficiently that now the lane is not working. And how do you control that one? Comes to redirecting your resources from where it is going to. So what's going to happen here is at the beginning of the factory, we make buffers, or I at least make buffers for the main materials so the factory doesn't stop. At the end of every factory, I also make buffers. Why do I make buffers? Because look, there's a buffer for turbine here. This mechanism, this whole factory, produces turbines. Turbines are not stored here. Turbines are sent to another factory that needs it. It is producing generators and fuel consumption tanks. So that's why I'm sending the turbines there. But assuming I have no need for turbine production, what do I do next? Oh, well, there will be surplus materials produced in this factory that are of no use to anybody. What do I do with those? Yay, now this is the redirection part. So every time in another factory that I need materials, let's say like this, like wires, like titanium housing, like rotors, I don't make another factory. All I do, a cargo dispatcher is added to the line. This is connected to that, and then I go put a receiver next to my new factory, which I will reveal. That is my real factory, by the way. That's my end game factory, by the way. Yeah, it's a fully independent factory with a bus lane that connects all lanes together, and it only produces end game materials efficiently. That is, I'll later make a video about it, but yeah, that is what you do with the end buffers. You send them to the factories that they need them, so when you're done producing turbines, these buildings do not need to get deleted. Yes, they will still produce materials for you that you will need in other places. Yes. And by saying that, well, we get to the other part of this video, which is, let me see, yeah, I covered the rockets anyways. So yeah, the next one is actually rockets. I wrote them down this time because there's so many things that I want to cover. Do not be afraid of cargo dispatchers and cargo receivers. Why not? Because these things are not calculable, okay? I do not like these things. But because of base optimization things, if I make lanes for these, for anything that is like up there, it's gonna make a spaghetti there. I don't want spaghetti. So how I do this is, this is a naming, conventional naming that I've made, because I have so many of them now. Whenever I'm naming something, for example, this is going to send stators to, let me say, for example, laser emitter lane. So I'm gonna change the, like, I'm gonna put this factory, I'm gonna say stator receiver for emitter. And okay, there you go. Then I'm gonna come here, like it's gonna be here, this is gonna be at the other side there. I'm gonna say, okay, what are you doing? You are receiving stators, you're sending it to the stator receiver emitter for emitters. Yes, this then sends it to the line for the emitter. And this is how you use these. They send 100 materials every 10 seconds if they are stored inside. It takes approximately like a almost 20 secondish to 18 secondish to fill these up with 100 materials. So yeah, then it's like plus 10 because it takes 10 seconds for them to go. There's a 1 to 2 second animation that goes up and a 1 to 2 second animation that comes down. But it's buggy, so you can't literally say, yeah, every 35 seconds this sends 100 materials somewhere. No, it doesn't. It's incalculable because the meters change the animation of the rocket and it's a pain in the factory input, let's say. I'm still sick, by the way, from the last video. And the last one that I want to talk about today is actually FPS. So there is one true fact about every factory that you're making. Whenever you're making factories, your life quality also matters because you don't want to get bored of the game or get frustrated and so on. So one of the biggest tips that I have mentioned this in other videos too, but basically what I want to tell you is that whenever you are making a new factory, let's say factory X, whenever you're making factory X like this, okay, first build and connect the whole factory together and then connect the factory to your other buildings, because look, the moment your full clusters collide with the new cluster, this happens. Because there is a system called the call system in this game, which calculates and assigns where each material should go and will be called for. So if your buildings are not connected to each other, you can just easily look, you can delete them, you can add them, you can get new ones, you can revise them, you can edit them, you can do whatever you want, and it will not lag your FPS. But the moment your clusters are connected to each other, you are going to lag, which is frustrating. This game is still in early access, so it's not optimized, and they will most probably do very, very big thing about that. And another thing about your game save duration. I said this in the tips and tricks video, but I left this factory actually bare without like decorations on purpose because I wanted to show you something. Do not use these. So these things do not have weight, okay? They do not have weight control because they're not connected to the ground. Always use these pillars for connecting all of your buildings together. You know why? Because every time your game saves itself, it saves the weight and the logic of how this factory is standing on its feet, okay? So, for example, if you have an illogical factory, that is actually like, let's say, something like this, that has, I don't know, something like this hanging on it. And it doesn't make logical sense to the game that it says, okay, this is not supposed to exist. The game will actually delete this and you will be left with nothing but very bad results. So, for example, if the weighting system is not correct, you will load your game and it will, like, you will not have this one here. Yeah, it deletes your factories. Or it increases your game save file duration. For example, if you have paid attention, your saves were like less than a second at the start of the game, but as you make the factories bigger or you make progress through the game, your game saves get longer and longer. That is the reason. Because every time you're saving, it has to say, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings are on their feet. Do they make sense? Yes, they do. Okay, we cool, save. Yeah, that's why it takes longer. So connect all of your buildings together with things that are attached to the floor in order to decrease this massive save file time. Oh god, I wish I did it from the start of the game. Yeah, it takes like 5-6 seconds for me to now save the game, and I'm too lazy to redo it because I will have to redo that location, this location, that location, this location, but that location is fully optimized for this. But oh well, who's got the time? I only have 3 or 4 hours every day to do YouTube, man. I don't have enough time. I have a full-time job and I'm doing YouTube next to it. Anyways, enough life trauma. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. I know more than enough now about this game. I can help you with anything. So, if you have any questions, ask in the comment section. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the hypes especially. Thanks for the supers and memberships and your beautiful presents. See you in the comment section. And if it's nighttime, I hope you sleep like babies. And if it's daytime, well, I hope you do not experience FPS problems, because my biggest problem with this game right now is not the fact that endgame escalation of materials sucks. It is the fact that this game lags a lot. Please optimize it. Give me a new patch, please. Yeah, and the next patch is zipline, so we're cooked. See you in the next video, fellas. See you in the next video. That thing is going to kill all of our FPS, by the way. Yeah, this is not a zipline and a speed game. It doesn't have the optimization for it.